We do, we do a lot of these classes, obviously, and I really hope that you feel yourself progressing. I really hope that you feel yourself moving forward. And I really hope that you know that if you have questions about that, if you have questions about your practice, that that's what I'm here for. There's many different things to teach. There's many teachings, there's many schools. I try to just, I teach from my own experience and that which has moved me and that which I have worked with. And there are other ways to teach, there's other activities to do in terms of teaching, such as study. Um, but in the context of what we're doing here, I'm really teaching you from the way that I practice, which is really what any teacher can do. I have a lot of experience from different traditions, and I've been trying to bring all of that together in a coherent way to help us all move forward. So I'm pleased that the classes have continued on, that people are still coming in the retreat work that we're doing. I'm also really pleased that to see the progress that people are making. So all that being said, I'm really open to your suggestions about perhaps classes or retreats that you would like to see. I can't guarantee I'll say yes to them all, but I certainly want to know uh, where you're at and what you would like to perhaps work with or study or look into. For me, I come from a tradition, if you will, of practitioners, and I've done study over the course of the years. I've explored different traditions, and I've had the great fortune of being with some truly great teachers. And what I've learned from all of that is that it's really important to make the practice your own at the end of the day. You absorb, you take what you can from the teacher, you take what you can from what you read, but at the end of the day, it's your practice. And you need to take care of it and you need to pay attention to it. And that's ultimately who your teacher is your practice, your experience, and your mind. And what I teach is, I'm trying to bring you into this experience of being able to watch, being able to investigate what this experience of being conscious is. And, that's basically the teaching in a nutshell, is to understand the nature of mind, to understand the nature of our experience. And all of the words and all of the techniques are helpful, but there is a place where we return to There's a place in our own experience that we return to. And that is a place of quietness. That is a place of stillness. And that is the teacher as well. So when I say quietness, I'm pointing to the quality of mind that has that is mindful enough so it's not running around all the time, right? So in on the cushion, it looks like we're able to stay with the object of meditation um, for a while, or we don't get lost, we don't get distracted for too long. In our daily life, it's being able to not get caught up in the highs and lows of our thoughts and emotions. So there's just kind of a sense of being calm with whatever arises, whatever shows up. So we're not flying off the handle, or we're not just lost in whatever proclivities we tend to have, whatever places our mind tends to go. But the quietness is not the same as the stillness. So when the mind is quiet, relatively quiet, when the mind is relatively calm, we use that quality to investigate, to go into our experience. And we begin to notice this aspect of stillness, this aspect of the mind that's not moved or not pushed around. And it's not something we create. It's certainly not something outside of ourselves. And ultimately, it's not something that's dependent on mental states or conditions. We could call it equanimity, that ability not to be moved or not to be pushed around, but that's not quite it. In some ways, you could call stillness the wisdom factor. It's seeing that aspect of consciousness that is always with us, but it's not the activity. It's that aspect of our awareness that is there before experience comes. And when I say experience, I mean thought, feeling, emotion, perceptions. So we're talking about this idea of stillness, and it's that aspect of our being that is there before experience comes and after the experience goes. It's not moved by any of it. And it's not fragile. It's not fragile. Anything we create, the calm we create with the breath work, or the positive qualities of mind that we work on and create in our practice, they're all very good. But the stillness is before that. The stillness is before that. It's not something that's created. But it's also not something that's not part of what's created. It's there all the time. So when the activity is there, when the experience is there, it's still there. Just think of a body. There's a naked body, and then there's a body that's clothed. But whether you're wearing a pants or shorts or a dress or a shirt or a jacket, the body hasn't changed. And so this quality of stillness is like that. But when we follow the experience, when we don't have equanimity around the experience, then we don't rest in the stillness. We don't see the stillness. So all of the practice that we're doing is to realize this. And the stillness is not like it's not a rigid thing. It's this vast, deep experience. When we're connecting with the stillness, we're connecting, there's a sense of vastness that's there. So by this point in the meditation, we've been doing enough meditation, we've been doing enough of the samatha work, of the concentration work, that at some point, like we did in the retreat, at some point we build up the concentration, the samatha, and then we let that go into open awareness. And when we look in the face of that open awareness, we get a sense for that stillness. We could call it the changeless. And it's easy to see, or it's easier to see when the mind is relatively quiet. But the training is to see it all the time. The training is to see it all the time. Because that is actually what we are. Before experience comes, while experience is there, and after it's gone. And when we are in the same room with it, when we're connected with it, when we're close, there is uh, a feeling of joy. It's a real feeling of joy. It's an expression of that. So when you find yourself um, in the middle of your day and you're feeling relatively quiet and you have this spontaneous feeling of joy that comes up, that's an expression of that stillness. It's not a joy from a sensual pleasure, if you will. It's not a joy because things are working out well, but it's just a joy that comes up on its own that you can't attribute to any external conditioning, any external conditions. It's just there. And then when we move through the world, when we express that joy on the outside, it's love. It feels like love. On the inside, it's this spontaneous feeling of inner joy. And when we express it on the outside, is a feeling of love, kindness. All of these objects we chase, including qualities of mind, all of the objects we chase are external manifestations of mind. But mind in its essence is none of those things. And it's expressed in this stillness. It's expressed in this changelessness. And when we meet that in ourselves, we recognize it, and there is this quiet feeling of joy that's just naturally expressed. And when you're moving through the day and you are doing as much practice as I know you've been doing, you feel that joy. Do you know that? Do you know the joy that I'm talking about? It's kind of like, it's like, oh, I'm happy, and there's no particular reason that you're happy. You're just happy. So look for where that's coming from. So we start to connect with this. And this comes through the development of mind, right? All the stuff that we've been talking about, all the practices that we've been doing. This inner stillness that is Nothing other than an expression of itself, not dependent on conditions. So we develop our relationship with that. We learn to recognize that. We learn to find the room, if you will, where that abides.